Hi, this is Karen with Karen's Cards and More, and welcome to another Monday night Stamp and Share. We're going to continue in the month of August. We are featuring the Hand-Penned Petals stamp set, and this card is tonight's project that we're going to do. We're going to be using the stamps, we're going to be die cutting, we're going to use the Hand-Penned Designer Series paper. So let's talk about what you'll need to create this card, and then we'll create together. So first of all, I have a piece of basic white. This is our card base, and it is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Then I have a piece of Highland Heather, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. And I am going to cut, you could cut 2 of each of these to make 2 cards, and that's why I have 2 pieces of the Designer Series paper, and I'll talk to you about that when we cut this, but it's just as easy to make 2 of these cards as it is 1, and you'll see why in a moment, and that's why I have 2 pieces of the Designer Series paper, and this measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, and like I said, we'll talk more about that as we get into it. Then I have, we're going to be, as I said, we're going to be using the Hand-Penned Petals. We're going to be using this outline stamp, and then this detail stamp, the leaves, and then we will be using, from the dies, we'll be using this die to cut that out. And then there's one other set that I pulled in to use the die from, and that's the set that goes with the painted poppies. This is called Painted Label Dies, and we're using this decorative circle die. So I've already cut that out of basic white, and let me show you what that looks like. That's what we're going to be putting our sentiment on. This is a get well card or feel better card, so this is going to be what our sentiment is going on. And then I have an extra piece of the basic white, and that's what we're going to do our stamping on. Okay, so let's talk about, you're also going to need one more thing. I used the Gorgeous Grape ribbon, and I've already got my bow tied and ready to go on, so you'll need that as well. So let's start with cutting our Designer Series paper, and let's talk about why I said it's easier to make 2 cards than just making 1. Because I'm using the design that's on both sides, so I'm using this design for this, and then on the back is this purple that I'm using up here. If I just cut this diagonal, this piece isn't going to work. So I have to cut one from this side and one from this side to get the 2 pieces I need for 1 card. So then you have the other 2 pieces that you could make another card with. That's why I say just go ahead and make 2, because you're going to have your pieces of Designer Series paper already cut. So let me just show you how I cut that. I'm going to bring my trimmer over. I'm going to get my score blade out of the way. We're going to be using the cut blade. So I'm going to look at the patterns on here to see which one I want in my, you don't see a whole lot of it, but I think I want to use this one, the front on this one. So I'm just going to put the top right point and the bottom left point in the track so that I can cut from point to point. And I usually, when I close this, I put my blade somewhere on the Designer Series paper and then cut up and back. If you try to come at those corners, sometimes they'll wrinkle up on you. So if you start somewhere on the piece, you'll get a better cut. Okay, so that's my first piece. Now with my other piece, if I cut it the exact same way, if I flip this over, you can see it's not going to work. It's not going to be what I'm trying to achieve. So I have to cut this one, I have to flip it over and cut it like this. That way I get the 2 pieces that I want. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut from the upper right point to the lower left point, get both points in the track. I'm going to put my blade somewhere on the paper, go up, go down, and now they perfectly match. So just something to keep in mind with the paper. If you're using both sides, you'll have to cut one from this side, then you'll have to flip it over and cut one from that side to have your matching pieces that are going to work for this card. So that's the first part of this. Now let's go ahead with the stamping. I'm going to bring in my foam mat because this is polymer and we want to have a foam mat to work on. And I'm going to bring in my piece of basic white that we're working on. And I'm going to start with black memento. And we're going to stamp this floral arrangement here. And I'm just going to tap, tap, tap till I get it inked up. And it really doesn't matter where I stamp it on this piece because I'm going to be die cutting it. I want to make sure I got good coverage everywhere. Looks pretty good. You could use the Stamparatus, that way if it wasn't dark enough you could do it a second time, but I'm just going to use it just like this, and I'm just going to stamp down. It really doesn't matter because I'm going to die cut it. And there we have our image. Now what's really cool about this stamp set is it's meant to be like a artistic, watercolory look, so it's not meant to be a perfect match. So keep that in mind when we're getting ready to do our colorful stamping. Now let me show you the colors that I'm using tonight. I'm using Pale Papaya, Highland Heather, and Soft Succulent. Pale Papaya and Soft Succulent are new in colors this year, and then I'm also using the Highland Heather. So let's start with our bigger flower image, which is this one here. And we're going to do that in the Highland Heather. So let me open up my Highland Heather. And we're just going to tap, tap, tap. Make sure we've got ink on it. And then we're just going to line it up the best we can. It's not meant to be perfectly in the on the stamped image, on the outline. So don't think that it's going to match perfectly. So I'm just going to get that where I think it goes, and I'm going to press down. See, it gives it a watercolory look, and that's what you want, okay? So now I'm going to do the Pale Papaya, which is this little flower. Pop that open. And I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to come in over here, flip this around. And you can play with it. You can turn it to see which way you think it lines up better. And I think it lines up like this, so I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that down. There we go. And like I said, it's not meant to fill the whole space, so don't think that you did something wrong, that you didn't stamp it right. That's the way it looks. That's the beauty of this stamp set, because it's hard to mess it up. It's just really hard. So now we're going to use the Soft Succulent, and we're using this leaf, and I'm going to ink that up. And I got some ink on my block, so I want to be sure and wipe that off. You don't want to take a chance of getting that ink on your project. And so I'm just going to come in here and do these leaves. Again, it's supposed to be an abstract type look, so it's not going to fill it completely line to line. That's perfectly what it's supposed to do. Now you could color this with Stampin' Blends if you rather, but I like the artistic, the whole hand-penned theme means that it would be more artistic and not as perfectly from line to line, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm going to take my die and I'm just going to line it up. You want to make sure to watch your stem and get it lined up. And I'm just going to take this aside over here on my die cut machine, and that gives us our die cut piece, and it's ready to go. Ready for the front of our card. Isn't that pretty? Okay. From here, the card is really easy to put together. We have one more bit of stamping to do. Let me get everything pulled in. We need to stamp our sentiment on here, and I'm doing that in the Memento ink, and we want to stamp it close to the upper left side of the circle because of the way we're going to put this flower on in the bow. So we want to keep it up and over when we stamp. So I'm just going to tap, 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 get the ink on there. And I'm just going to, up in this upper left, I'm going to get my phone piece back under here so I can get a good image. I'm just going to stamp that down. There we go. So all of our stamping is now done. And we're ready to assemble. This is really a quick card to put together. You know, a lot of times, what if you're gonna go visit somebody at the hospital? It was a last minute thing you didn't know, or you get an email or a text or a call, somebody's sick and you wanna hurry and send a card. This is a really easy one to put together really quick, and you can make two at once and really save yourself some time. So let's go ahead and put this together. So I'm going to bring in my Highland Heather. This is our mat, and we're going to go ahead and adhere these two pieces. Now I cut these to have a really thin border so that it's not going to have a thick border. So it's just going to be like that. And I'm just dry fitting it. And if you decide, like I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know what, I think I want to take a little more off on the sides. Let me look at that again and see if I really do. Because I want that space in the middle, I do want to take a little more off. So I have to decide where to take it off. I think I'm going to take it off of the diagonal. Let's see if this works. We're going to try this together. Okay, so I am going to just line this up. You've got these little vertical lines that you can line it up because you want a straight cut. And I don't want to take a whole lot off. I just want to take a sliver. Just going to line it up, maybe on the track, on the other side of the track. Okay. And this is just going to be a sliver, and I don't even know that that's going to cut. Well, I used the score tool. Of course that's not going to cut. Let me try it again with the blade. Okay. Like I said, I just took a sliver, and I'm going to do the same thing with the purple piece. I just want to take a sliver. I'm just lining it up with the where the dark part of the track ends and the white part starts. That's where I'm lining it up, so I can make sure I have it on there straight to get a straight cut. And again, I'm just going to come down, and it moved just a little, so I'm readjusting, and we're just doing a sliver. Not a whole lot, just a sliver. Okay, now let's see, let's try this again and see if we like the fit better. So that piece will go there. And this piece will go here. And I think that's a much better fit, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and put these together. So I'm just gonna put some Stampin' Seal on the back. And I find it's usually easier to line it up on the long side. And really for this, it might not be a bad idea to use liquid glue because then you have a little bit of time to move it, should you need to move it. And I think that's going to go right there. Hopefully this will fit right here. Yep. Gives us a good look right there. Okay, so we're going to put some Stampin' Seal on this piece. Tonight's video is not going to be super long because this is a really easy card to put together. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to line it up on the long side. Just like that. And our main focal point piece is done. So let's put some Stampin' Seal on the back of it. Okay. And we're going to put this on our card base. Again, I like to go for the long side to line it up. Just like that. Now for this card, I am putting the sentiment piece down flat, and then we're going to pop the die cut flower piece up with dimensionals. So you want to think about that before you put this piece down. I want it somewhat centered, but I want to make sure that I have room to get this flower piece on. And you can turn this however you need to get it on. Okay? So you can just play with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this piece down. Just going to get some Stampin' Seal on it. Right there, like that. And then I'm going to bring in some Stampin' Dimensionals to put on the back of the die cut piece that we worked with. Let me try one more down in this, see if I can get it to fit in there. Okay, I'm going to peel the paper up on all these. Get that out of the way, and we're ready to attach this. And I think I like it right about there. And then for my bow, I'm going to come in with my mini glue dots. I'm just going to put a glue dot on the back of the knot and make sure that that's totally covered. Okay, and then I'm just going to figure out how I want to position this, and I can always trim these tails if I need to. I'm kind of going to tuck it behind my flower a little bit. Let's see, how about right here? And I'm just going to give that a trim. I'm going to get I have scissors that I use just for ribbon. And I'm going to give that a trim and give this other one a trim. Just like that. And you could tuck these under your flower. That's what I like to do on this one, so that they're a little bit controlled, just like that. Okay, and then we're just going to fold this. I'm going to bring in my bone folder and give it a nice crease. And you still have, you can decorate the inside. You can stamp something else on the inside. You can stamp some of the flowers along the bottom to decorate the inside, but then you have plenty of room to write your get well message for the card. There it is, that's simple. I hope you've enjoyed this card. I hope you'll give it a try, craft one or two, as the case may be. And I hope you'll come back next week. We're doing a fun fold card with the same hand-penned petal set. So that'll be really fun. If you haven't checked out my YouTube channel, do that. If you are watching this on YouTube and you have not joined my Facebook group or went to my Facebook page and click like, so that you'll have access to that, you can do that. You can check out my store if you want to purchase any of the supplies you've seen me use tonight. That's karensmith.stampinup.net. And I will be back next Monday night for another Stamp and Share.